Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum D&D podcast. My name is Trey.
I am Rungren.
And last week I may have gotten a little excited and talked about mice for 40 minutes.
Yeah.
But I felt like today it was only fair because you already had something you brought up last week and teased everybody with.
Yes.
I give you the chance to do the same.
Well, it's okay.
So you're also going to talk about Mouse Guard.
I can't. The system I was thinking of.
Yeah.
And I can't think of another system that's ran as long as Dungeons and Dragons. And once again, not a tabletop historian,
right?
Just a player and a DM.
I think we both know more about history because of this podcast when it comes to D&D.
Oh,
than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. But the system, the Palladium system, has been around, I think, since 81.
Yeah.
And it's still going today. And I think it's based in Michigan, I think.
Yeah. But
they have one system that covers many worlds, and you can actually mix and match the worlds.
Okay.
I'm trying to think how to go into this, because we've stuck with the D&D perspective, and we can talk about, okay, you've got D&D 5e, right?
Right.
And you have the different worlds, and that you got, let's say, Forgotten Realms, and hopefully Dragonlance coming soon, and then whatever.
Ravenloft, Eberron.
Exactly. Ravenica.
Yeah.
That's the other one I was trying to think of. But they're all the same feel,
right? They're all fantasy.
Yeah, they're all fantasy, and you've kind of got medieval, maybe Dark Ages to what, like steampunk, Victorian.
Yeah, I guess the weirdest one would be Ravenloft, because it's more of like a gloom style of like a darker setting. But even then, it's
and it's actually would be that's the setting, like time-wise. Yeah,
it's the closest to being different.
Yeah.
I guess Eberron is like high tech magic, but even then it's not spaceships and stuff, you know?
Right. That comes in Spelljammer.
Yeah.
Anyway, Palladium done things a little bit different.
Right.
And so instead of
instead of a setting and a bunch of different things in it, it's a rule set and a bunch of different settings.
Yes. And they all link back to that one rule set, and they have the fantasy setting, and it's the feel of the game and everything is different,
right,
than D&D. But you have the fantasy setting. I'm not going to go into lore too deep into this, but they have three creators at the beginning, three cities, the three continents,
right,
and I do believe you have a main line Palladium lore that runs from medieval fantasy to Rifts, the game system game called Rifts,
right?
That's set well in I don't want to say dystopian future, but it's not really after the bomb type, but it's futuristic with big robot warriors and lots of high powered weaponry,
right?
And
I have a very good friend, might as well be family to me, that has, I think, every Rifts book.
So
and when I was at his house, he showed me all of them.
Yes,
and I retained the information required.
Yes,
to know what it's about, but I could not regurgitate that to you now.
Right, but see, you could take any one of those books. Out of that, which there's a lot, and
there's a lot of books.
Yeah, and like I said, that would be a much better person to talk to about Rifts than me. But you can take any one of those, and those rules apply to, basically the fantasy setting. You could almost cross them over.
Right.
Now, there's a power level setting that kind of would throw it off, because Rifts is like a super powered, hyped up RPG.
Yeah, rail guns and stuff like that.
Yeah, and you've got a character that, he looks like a humanoid, but he's taking on the railgun. I think the juicer, just short life, just insane strength and everything. But the system's the same. If you understand how to play Rifts, then you can play After the Bomb or the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which I have the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and other Strangeness books. Very proud of that.
So you are going to talk about mice.
We can, yeah. Because it's possible to do in this world and in different forms. But it's the same concept of rules.
Right.
So you can jump through one of these games. You can't jump from, you can have all the books in the world from 2nd edition in D&D.
Yeah, you can't use those in 5e.
You can't use those in 5e.
Right.
Not with all, you're going to change everything.
You
use a picture.
You can use the idea.
Yeah.
But like when I run Dark Sun in 5e,
yeah,
I am heavily changing the rules.
Right.
To accommodate it.
Yeah, we don't use Thaco anymore.
Right.
I found out. But with if you get a Palladium book and you're playing, one of the source books and you got it, you find an old used one from 1988.
Yeah.
And then you meet somebody and they've got a version of it from 2016. Y'all can play together.
Yeah.
You got the rules down. There might be some errata changes on spelling,
right,
or anything like that, but it's the same system. Mm-hmm. If you had in 1994, you have all the Rifts books, and you run into somebody in 2008, started playing in 2018, and they got all the books together, y'all are ready to go.
Yeah, and I think that's super unique in tabletop.
Yeah.
Because even last week we talked about Mouse Guard. I'm gonna bring it up again. I know. 2nd edition, right?
Right.
I mentioned how there's a bunch of stuff in there that was new to me from somebody who played 1st edition.
From the 1st edition. Shadowrun.
Yeah.
We talked about 2nd edition on that. Dabbled in 3rd edition, but I think it's 6th now, 6th edition. And there's big changes. If
you sit down at a table with somebody and go, "Hey, let's play Pathfinder," and they go, "Which one?" Man, you're probably in trouble.
Yeah.
Because when you say Pathfinder, most people assume you mean Pathfinder 1st edition. And if you got 2nd edition, you don't know how to play it. Those are very different games. Yeah. And I think that's the standard for tabletop, right?
Seems to be, yes.
The standard is each edition is almost standalone. And it's the core concept that carries through to the next edition. And I think I've never played a campaign in the Palladium system. I should say that now. I've played a one-shot. I've played for a couple hours. It seems really cool. Somebody else made the character for me. I don't even know the full breaking down of a character, how to make it. And I'm not saying we have to do that tonight.
Right.
But it is a system that, because it is so, not free form, but almost because it's so strict, because it's the same.
Yes.
I know a lot about it because I don't have to memorize rules from a bunch of different editions.
Right.
When I hear somebody talk about it, I can retain that information, like that good friend, almost a brother, might as well be a brother, honestly, that showed me all those Rifts books, right? I have all that information. Mm-hmm. I can't just regurgitate it to you,
right?
But I've got it.
Yes.
And if I ever sat down to play, that stuff would be really helpful with whatever version of Palladium that I try to play.
Exactly. So, if you only get to play with that person every once in a while in the Rifts world. You have a character there. You stay up to date playing, some After the Bomb with somebody over there, or, the fantasy system.
That's super cool to me.
Or, or Ninjas and Super Spies.
Yeah.
Or Heroes Unlimited, which is a superhero RPG. And for the fun,
Macross.
Yes, Macross. Or for those who might not know what that is, or for the American ears, that would be Robotech.
Yeah.
But you could, it's just that system. It's the Palladium system. So you could, for just goofs and giggles, you could make a Superman-esque type character. Let's not go Superman. Let's go more Wolverine-esque, right?
Okay, sure.
Just tough skin instead of bones. Something like that, but you got protrusions that come out. You can do that in Palladium system. And you got all your stats over there, and your friend that plays Rifts, he's like, "Hey, I got a juicer that I've never got to play with. Somebody else can run those two in a weird world."
Right.
The rules are the same.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah.
I think before we get into anything else, I definitely want to make sure people understand that is unique in tabletop RPGs.
Yes.
That is not something you see often. And it's something that I almost wish happened more. Because I think with as many books as continue to come out for everything, you and I have talked about this problem before, and I don't mean to derail us. I'm honestly not attempting to derail us. But you and I have talked about this problem before. Our shelves get full.
Yeah.
And with as many books as they are, if tomorrow D&D 6th edition dropped, all the stuff we have would be technically worthless.
Yeah, it's outdated.
Right. Yeah. We could still play 5e, and we probably would because that's what we have all the stuff for. But
then again, on the other hand, I would have to go buy that book because we're gonna have to talk about it.
Absolutely,
it's a new D&D thing.
Yeah,
and it'd be disappointed, excited at the same time.
Yeah, because it's something new.
But I think there's a lot more. Fortunately, I think they're gonna carry out 5th edition.
I think so too. It's got a long tail
for a few more editions. I think it's going to have a good long, like the 2nd edition run.
That dragon's got a long tail.
Which I'm not sure how many years, but yes, going through that. But as we're saying, all those editions, because now we're in 5th, and I'm saying a 2nd edition run, there's a 3rd and there's a 4th, and now we're in the 5th, and we got maybe a few more years on it.
Yeah.
Palladium's still the same.
Right. So I have to ask, is there a Palladium system, one of the books, that allows me to be a dragon with a really long tail?
I would say probably so. And I would say, you could probably do that. Not an expert here. And if rip me apart in the comments, Palladium system experts, because I will learn. I'm not afraid to be a dummy. I believe you could pull that off in Heroes Unlimited, something to the effect of that.
Okay.
If you wanted to do that. Not quite. Are you talking about like a dragon looking character or just?
Sure. That would probably be easier to do.
Yeah. I think you could do it.
I will say
maybe away in Turtles. I don't know.
My brother, again.
The Riff Master.
Yes. Did tell me that he could make me a common rider. So.
Yeah. With the 2 forms.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sold on this Palladium system. That's all I'm saying.
That's all it took. Well, it's a good show.
Well, I mean, I thought it was before tonight. I thought it was just riffs. And I think that's what makes it all so interesting to me.
Yeah.
Is because I thought, well, I can do that in riffs, but I can't do that in Palladium. But I didn't realize that the two were not just connected, but that theoretically I could get somebody to run a campaign where I was a common rider in a Valkyrie from Macross.
Theoretically, yes.
And so now I'm super in.
Why don't... Okay, listen.
That's how you get me.
I know that there's thousands of secret anime viewers and writers out there that are watching this, and somehow their just views aren't popping up. But you should really hire this man. That sounds like, I would watch that anime right there. Just put that together.
Your pilot first has to transform.
Yeah.
Because they need the suit. They need the upgrades from the suit to be able to handle the G's that you're going to be moving at.
And you don't want to use that.
Right.
Until you have to.
Yeah.
And if you can handle it in your suit.
If you get knocked out of your cockpit, the suit will give you you have temporary oxygen, just a little bit, and you can fight out in space.
Yeah. Something like that could happen.
Yeah, I'm in. You got me. You got me. It takes very little to convince me. You just got to hit the right chords.
True. I think the one I am most accustomed to is or the angle, I guess you could say, is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness.
Yeah.
That's the one we played the most way back in the day. In the 90s. The last century. In the late 20th century when we were playing.
Yeah. There's a Lovecraft one too, isn't there? Like Lovecraft adjacent.
Yeah, there's weird things with licensing.
Probably because of Call of Cthulhu.
Yeah, but
it's another thing we got to cover on the channel at some point. It's Call of Cthulhu. I have the book.
Okay.
I'll study up on it.
Okay. We will get next podcast will be D&D strictly.
Yeah. We'll get back to D&D.
Yeah. But
I think this is important because it puts D&D in perspective. So when we come back to D&D, we can reference the things that D&D does really well that the other books maybe don't do as well.
Right.
Like make it incredibly easy to make a character.
Yeah, that's not which Palladium's weird. Like the turtle system, which became after the bomb, that's set up. There's a lot of randomness.
Yeah.
When you make your character in Palladium, whatever system, it's gonna take you a minute to do it.
Yeah.
I
could tell that much just from looking at the Rifts books.
Well, and when you're just flipping through going like that, it can be a little bit intimidating. I understand.
Yeah, there were and he told me before we started, he said, "Hey, this is going to take a minute. Are you sure you want to look at these?" And I was like, "Yeah, they look cool. I want to know about them." He showed me 45 books.
Yeah.
I'm not even joking. And those were just Rifts.
Right.
But there was some incredibly cool, and the art was, Yeah. I talked about the art for Mouse Guard last week. If you have not looked at the Rifts or any of the Palladium systems art.
Yeah. They all have their own feel.
That art is great.
It is. And like I said, there's the D&D art, the Palladium art, the Teenage Mutant, with the After the Bomb art, the mutants. That's Eastman and Laird's original artist from the original artist of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. The art on your Mouse Guard book with that, I don't know, stained glass, or I don't know,
watercolor almost.
Watercolor. Yeah. It's just clean. It's just these fantasy worlds come to life. We'll have to talk about artists one day.
Yeah.
But I'll try. Okay, back to the Palladium system.
Yes, please.
Back up the derail.
Tell me more about Macross.
I remember the books. I remember playing BattleTech. I don't think I ever played the Macross 2 Robotech system. Like that, we'll play BattleTech. I think it was I don't know who made that, but that was more of a strategy. Strategy one. I did play Rifts a couple of times. Like I said, but the whatever system you're using, whether it's the fantasy one, I can't remember the name of the Cthulhu one, but there is one that's basically that. I think it takes a while. It does take a long time to make your character. Now, here's the thing. Here's where this kind of goes along with Mouse Guard and Shadowrun.
Right.
Your skills and how you pick them will define your character.
Okay.
You have limitations based on your class.
Right.
Okay, but how you specify and how you're going to run it comes from your skills.
Okay.
And once again, you have specialization down and things you can do to improve. And you spend, as you go up levels, you can raise that. And levels in the Palladium system are hard. I don't recall anybody, whether they play it, you may want to ask your brother, the Rift Master. That's what I'm going to refer to him.
I don't blame you.
Refer to him to this because if he's got the books and been playing it dedicated, he would definitely be. You may want to ask him. Well, I think it would be the same. Okay, this is the same breakdown. Your skills would pick up. You would roll your attributes,
right?
And they roll kind of the same as D&D, because you use the same dice as you would in D&D,
right?
I think they say have 2 of each.
Yeah,
that you would have. So basically 2 of each. So if you roll your stats, you roll your 3d6. If you roll a 16, you roll a d6 again and add it on to that.
Oh, that
counts as an exceptional,
stat.
I think it's called an exceptional stat in all versions. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I know in some instances for like the After the Bomb Turtles series, if you make if you're making team characters, which everybody's the same, everybody's a Raven.
Yeah.
And everybody's trained the same way, but your skills are different. As you're rolling stats, anybody that gets an exceptional stat, everybody else gets to roll.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so it's kind of a bonus.
Yeah,
for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which is based on,
right?
And then Palladium not renewing the license or losing the license, kind of keeping it and making it After the Bomb.
Right.
That's why you'll hear me refer back and forth.
They are, for all intents and purposes, the same system.
Yeah,
it's just
The setup, setup's a little bit different. The original one they wanted to go with. I mean, it's the turtles. It's the Eastman Layers turtles. The old one, but Raphael's asking for beer and things like that.
It's not your mama's.
No,
TMNT.
it's not the Saturday morning cartoon one, but Turtles in Time. If you haven't seen it, they give a lot of respect to the Eastman and Laird original Turtles, and I appreciated it. And it just made it just that much sweeter. As good as it was, but it just made it that much sweeter. But yeah, they lost the license to that. Go to that, so it becomes a different world. So instead of being in New York or whatever with that, they go to an after the bomb thing. Yeah. Everything's I think leveled. Humans are gone actually. At that point, everything, the animals have mutated and kind of taken over, and that's how you that's the world that it's kind of switched over to.
Yeah.
Now I don't remember much about the fantasy world, but I seem to remember you'll need an extra day of character creation if you're making a wizard.
Okay. Look, magic takes a long time. Okay.
Well, there's lots of charts. See, the thing about the system that, and I know you can accuse me of just nostalgia, but the thing about the system I love is the character creation. When you understand it, it's a blast.
Yeah.
Because it feeds you. It leaves it open enough to where you can bring in your own stuff, but it feeds you stuff along the way to try.
Right.
And it's fun making the character, even though it does take a long time.
Right.
But once the character's made and you're going, the game's fast. It works. It's got a kind of combat that kind of goes back and forth.
Right.
The parry, dodge, and you got, you can't parry a gun.
Yeah.
You can try to dodge, but there's reactions and stuff. So the combat is really kind of moving along.
Yeah.
Much like, as we were talking about, the combat in Mouse Guard seems like it'll be fast to me.
Right.
The combat in Shadowrun's kind of quick or at least it feels quick.
Yeah. Cause it's not turn.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. You get interaction doing it. I get to roll some dice while we're fighting out here. Yeah. Man, how many Rifts books did you say?
He had like 45. He had a bunch.
I believe it, man. Golly. That's amazing.
He wanted to let me make a character while I was there. I was only there for a couple days vacation. I say a couple days, it was like 5.
So you okay.
But I didn't get to make the character in that time.
So what?
We wound up doing other stuff.
Okay. What made you? Did anything make you pause as you're going through it?
Yeah, I mean, he knows me, so he knew what would get me. He showed me some really cool mechs.
Right.
I think the battle suits and the actual mechs themselves were all really cool, but they were huge. They weren't just like a mech. They were like, so when we talk mecha anime, we have real robots and super robots, right? Real robots are Gundams.
Yes.
That size, Macross, right? Super robots are the Macross itself. They're the big, huge ones, the Adeons, the Galgagars, And some of those suits he showed me were super robot size.
Yeah.
And you can fight those as a dude.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
It's insane. I see I mentioned with Palladium, it seems like with the different worlds that they give you.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of power level. Like, one thing I like in the Palladium system is you have your hit points, which is your life.
Right.
That is your blood flow. That is your life. But you have SDC, and that's like the structural damage.
Okay.
So, like, if let's say you get shot through the arm.
Right.
Or, you get hit in the arm, let's say, that's not necessarily going to, drain your lifeblood.
Right.
But you're going to probably probably have a bruise. You have a cut. You're going to have something like that.
Sure.
You're going to have structural damage. And like your armor and stuff that you put on would build up. So they got to bust through that structural damage to get down
to be able to
it.
get, yeah.
Which is a kind of cool idea because then, you got to worry about your equipment.
Yeah. You got to repair it and make sure it's in good.
Once they've busted through the SDC on that, then that shield's no good anymore.
Right.
They've destroyed that. It did its job. It absorbed that much damage.
Right.
And everything. But yeah. So, and then I think with Rifts, Heroes Unlimited, maybe a couple of others, probably the Macross one. They have MDC. I don't remember what that was called, but that's like above SDC.
Okay.
So what it did is like you're talking about that super robot.
Yeah.
Well, somebody taking a machine gun to it,
yeah,
they're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
You know, that does SDC damage and it'll do HP damage, but it doesn't do, you got to have something to do that, a massive amount of damage through it. And so in Rifts, talking about, you're just a dude. Well, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
You're a dude side what you're fighting on. Yeah. You're punching at, doing enough damage for that. It's a power world.
It's pretty intense. I will say too, as somebody that's been on the outside looking in for my life on the system, man, that's 30 years. It's an intimidating system. It absolutely is. I feel like knowing that once you learn it once, you got it.
Yeah.
Helps that until you see again just how much there is, and then you get intimidated all over again.
Yeah. I think what you run into with that system, I think where people really get bogged down is going to be in the skills.
Yeah.
If you have the original Turtles book, like I do, I know, terrible. I don't have much to flex on.
Hey, I don't blame you one bit.
I don't
blame you one bit. I would be too.
It's not a very long list of skills that you kind of go. You got kind of skill trees. Like if you got military, you have obviously firearms things under that. It's not very much. But when you get into like Rifts and you've got an option to make a character in that and you have everything laid out there, because you got the skill, you've got so many more skills and skill trees you can look at to build your character.
Right.
And it easily gets intimidating. And then, of course, there's going to be skills and stuff that are distinctive to each source book that they've given you, each world. But the core that is there.
Yeah.
You're going to roll your stats. You're going to pick your skills. Then try your best to get that.
Right.
But one of the great things, thing I love about Palladium, and I really get my handle of these, is the compendiums. Yeah. They have like the ancient war old weapons. Yeah. Weapons and armor compendium. And that's all it is. And it's not fancy. It
doesn't need to be.
It's got a cool drawing of what it is, and then it's got its stats. Yeah. And it's just lined out. And it doesn't need to be. That they do. They've got that. They got one for modern weapons. I know they got one for ancient weapons and armor, and a few different ones. And I just remember flipping through those books. Right. And they're not. Obviously they're not necessarily. Yeah. But one of the things is like having those books and going through them like that. It's the possibilities. Yeah. I can use this. I can use this. And can use this. The Shadowrun kind of had the same thing and D&D 2nd edition had an arms and equipment guide. Yes. Shadowrun had the Street Samurai catalog and something else. And while those were done great, there was just something about the way those Palladium, but it was like an actual one. You could look at all this historical weapons and armor, and it's historically accurate.
Right. That's a big thing.
The from the halberds to the bardishes, and you actually get, and they tell you. I believe they had a little like the period in history, like you'd be looking for this weapon from, and of course they had Japan with the Nodachi and and D&D doesn't have anything like that. Yeah. And I kind of wish they would. I think they're missing that. I think they could do a compendium style a couple different ways. And I think it would be really appreciated
Magic
by players.
Magic would be great.
Yes. A magic compendium and an armor guide compendium.
Even
I think
just
would
throw
be
in
huge.
The gold cost in there.
Yeah.
The other good thing I was going to mention about the compendium you mentioned for Palladium is you can use that for anything.
Truth.
in that system. Anything that runs that, you can use it.
Yes.
And convert it over.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't think I have to check the damages. I want to look something up real quick.
Yeah. While you do that, I feel like I should mention, having never ran a long campaign or anything in Palladium, if you're listening to that we're talking about with weapons and going, well, why would I need swords if I'm going to do the Macross one? Well, I'll remind you that Mobile Suit Gundam, I was about to say spoilers for Mobile Suit Gundam, I guess, but it came out in 79.
Yeah.
So like the OG Gundam.
Yeah.
That doesn't end in a mech fight, really. That ends in a sword fight. You still got people in those suits, you know? You gotta get those other weapons in there. Just because I can fire a beam rifle doesn't mean I don't still need to use a sword.
That is true.
I put that on my tombstone.
And the damage is not too far. Some of it's pretty far off.
Yeah.
From the D&D, but it's not okay. Like see, they break it down because it just in this small thing. Okay, I'm holding the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and other Strangeness books, right?
Yeah.
And as you can see, that's 100 page 112.
Yeah.
That's at the back side of it. Okay.
Right.
I feel like I'm performing a magic trick on the radio, so I want to make you got to believe I'm doing it. It's a thin book, but it's a complete game with a character sheet, with there's your NPCs,
Yeah,
and the turtle stats, right? There's the turtles. It's got a small little adventure in it. Onto that, yeah.
That's as much as I can do for copyright reasons.
So you got okay. So the barge and everything, it's still done with the same dice.
Yeah.
So I think you'll find that they hit harder in this system.
Yeah.
So you'd have to back them up, but you could use that for D&D.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
was trying to give it a Trident. All right. So Trident in Palladium does 1d8.
Okay.
What was it doing? Do you remember?
I think it's D6, but I can double check.
About that. I think it's a little bit more. See, large swords. Bastard, broadsword, claymore, flamberge, and you got a little drawing of each one.
Yeah.
Just nothing spectacular, just enough. Quarterstaff is a 1d8, and I think that's a 1d6. So if you had the compendium, and if you wanted to put guns in, you kind of have an idea of how much.
Quarterstaff is 1d6.
Yeah. So it's a little bit. Now, some of them are much higher. Of course, we talked about the damage is done different.
Yeah.
Like a halberd, 3d6 damage.
Halberd's 3d6 there?
Yeah.
Halberd's 1d8 base in D&D 5e.
Yeah. So they
No, 1d10 base, I'm sorry. No, it's 1d8, but if you have halberd, great weapon.
Master,
then it's 1d10.
You have the feat, yes. Which the feat seems like the feats have kind of taken place of skills.
Yeah, they really have.
It's a little disappointing, but like I said, they've got so many people playing though, and I can't complain about that.
And the feat system works. You know, why would you change it at this point to anything else? It might as well be skills for as much as people use their proficiencies.
Yeah.
Look, I'm gonna be honest with you. If it's not investigation, intimidation, this is a derail. I'm trying not.
Yeah, go for it.
If it's not investigation, intimidation, athletics, or acrobatics, most of the time people don't use it.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
Bring back religion checks. Bring back history checks.
Yeah. I call for
Bring back
sometimes.
Nature checks. That wasn't me aiming those at you.
Yeah,
that's
I know.
just in general.
But I'm going to check and go like I think on the derail we're on the knowing when to call nature or survival. Sometimes I don't get right.
Yeah, those two blend together a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. I know there's
No, they don't. They do though.
But I can't. Sometimes I can't define them. Define the difference in my mind.
Yeah.
I think in in a way, in the Palladium system, your skills are like picking feats.
Yeah.
You know, you get to pick a few different feats. Is the way you kind of look at it, because you're going to get a tribute score bonus.
Right.
You're going to get you're going to get something you can do with this.
Right.
You know, a specific thing that you can do that nobody else can do.
It's almost like the actual proficiencies in D&D.
Yeah.
I'm gonna choose to be proficient with this, and it gives me a whole nother skill set.
Yeah. I don't think
more useful maybe in Palladium.
I don't think Palladium would be a great starter RPG.
Yeah, I think I would still say start with 5e.
Yeah, for
Mouse Guard.
Actually, I think Mouse Guard would be.
That's what I'm going to get my brothers into now.
If you get, if you get somebody that might want to role play.
Mm-hmm.
Mouse Guard or 5e.
Yeah,
I don't think I would bring somebody into Palladium, because I remember the Palladium system. As you were talking about Mouse Guard, you know, is the game master.
Yeah, in
the Palladium system is pretty brutal. Because as I said, you roll your hit points off. I think you start. Yeah. You start with 6 hit points, and then it goes up.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So while I was talking about like the damage on the halberd, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but you've got the same hit points as you would in D&D.
Right.
And you don't get as much in D&D as you go up as you level.
Right.
And it takes longer to level in Palladium.
Yeah, so you're easier to kill basically.
Yeah.
All the time.
So so you stack your skills, of course, equipment,
right,
obviously,
to try and offset
that. It. But yeah, you stack your skills to offset to offset your weaknesses or
right.
You know, or whatever. The actual idea behind Palladium, I believe, and maybe across all of them, is your character is random.
Yeah.
So you roll random chart, roll random chart, roll random chart, roll random chart. And their thing is, because even though, you know, it's a game and everything, the thing is for role players.
Right.
And they say a good player can make any character work.
I agree with that.
You know, it may not last long.
Yeah.
You know, but they can play, you know, work with it.
I'm not saying I'm a good player, but I could probably make a poop eater work.
Yeah.
You know, you hand me a random sheet and I'm good to go.
Yeah. I think well, see, the thing is you roll that random stuff and then you roll your stats.
Yeah.
And you're kind of set, and there's you didn't get a choice in how you turned out.
Yeah.
You know, your physical aspects is
right.
basically what it goes for. And so that's when you start getting to choose your skills to
hone it.
Yeah. To make your character. So yeah, you were, for example, in the Turtles universe, let's say, right?
Right.
Okay. You were a crow that got experimented on, and now you have powers, right? Going through that. None of that you had control over. Being born a crow, getting your spirit on, all that. But I'll
stop now.
Right. How your background was,
right.
or if you were you experimental lab, was it random, blah, blah,
right.
blah. Were you in the wild? Did you have a family?
Yeah.
You know, all that was stuff that you could not control.
Oh man, I want to play a crow man that has a regular crow family.
So that all backs up, and then you go, okay, now what are your skills? You get to pick through these, and it does limit you a little bit. Like if you roll well and you had a good background, you know, you get to pick these skills. These skills, you had access to this. You know, if you rolled a wild background per se, then you automatically have these skills.
Right.
And you get access to these skills and these skills. Now you can't read or write very well, your mathematics. And then you go on, and that's where after that is where your skills will start.
Yeah.
You know, what you have access to and what did you do with it?
Absolutely.
Did you better yourself, or did you do it for just power, or what? And I think it's the biggest thing right now, because everybody has the same skills in D&D.
Right.
You know, yeah, you can try it. Everybody can try it.
Yes. Everybody has, depending on your DM and their D20 rules, everybody has a 5% chance of success every time.
Yes. Yeah. So you're saying absolutely on that, no matter what the skill is.
So there's no reason not to roll.
Yeah.
Even though realistically, by that same margin, you have a 5% chance to utterly fail every time.
True.
But that's not how we as people look at it.
No, and you've got the only thing that skills matter for in D&D, and because it's a different system, set up differently, is okay. I'm a little bit better at it than you are.
Yes,
on average.
Right.
That's
every once in a while there'll be a moment where it legitimately matters that you are proficient with something or that you have expertise with something.
If you're the DC over 20, or
yeah,
okay,
where like you need that, to be able to get there.
But
there's a reason most players are jack of all trades.
Yeah, true.
There's no reason not to be.
Right. I agree. Yeah, going through it, that does make sense. But
it's one of those things where I think the benefits outweigh the cons of it,
Yeah.
Because yes, everybody could technically do anything, but it also means, and this is going to sound bad, and I'm not trying to say that Palladium is gatekeeping in any way, but it also means that no matter what, you can at least try to do something, no matter what situation you're in.
Oh, yeah.
And as a player, that feels really satisfying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've talked about it. We've been plenty of discussions, lots of discussions on D&D. Some of them we even recorded.
Yeah.
The ease and just openness of it. I mean, D&D 5e is, if you've got a little bit of time, that's accessible to anybody.
Yep.
And we pointed out, you can play that one for free now.
Mm-hmm.
You can get all the rules you need to play the 6th level for free.
Yep.
And you can have lots of adventures going to 6th level in many different ways, even with just the limited classes and stuff you have there.
Mm-hmm.
But, and there's no other system like that.
Yeah. It's so unique in all the other tabletop RPGs right now.
Yeah. I'm really kind of surprised, man. Like I said, I'm a little bit older. I've been playing for a long time. I never thought D&D would get, as big as it has.
And I know that it has its detractors, right? There are some people that are very vocal in saying that there are better systems than D&D.
Yeah.
And I don't even think they're necessarily wrong. I think there are definitely better systems than D&D.
I agree.
I just think the core of what D&D brings to the table makes it so accessible and so easy that we can do whatever we want with it. And as we've said many times, everybody has a different reason why they want to use 5e, right?
Yeah.
For most players, they want to do 5e because it's easy to play in. They have a lot of options. They can take it however they want with that character. There's a lot of things they can do.
You can get online. It's going to roll the dice for you. It's
going
to he's going to walk you step by step through. Yes.
It's super handy. And as much as we complain about the settings, which they're working on, they're fixing.
Yeah, right.
5e allows us as DMs to take and create whatever world we want, basically, and apply it to the 5e core rule set, and we're fine.
Right.
Those rules are so flexible for world building.
Yes.
That it makes it super easy for us to use. And I feel like that is where somebody that has only played that style of tabletop RPG might struggle with something like a Palladium system that's a little bit more strict.
Yeah. But see, here's, because one's going to sound like I swear some people will be like, God, why do they call the D&D podcast? I hate D&D. No, I don't. But every character I've ever made through the Palladium system has felt unique. Obviously, I haven't got to play every character I made. I would sit and make characters.
Yeah.
I have no life. But I sit and make characters. But everyone would have felt unique. And it felt like when you got through building that character, it felt like you had done something.
Yeah.
And much love D&D 5e. I think there's something lost in the character creation because the character creation is a brushstroke.
It is.
Compared to compared to the campaign that you're going to run behind it.
You spend more time in 5e in your character sheet when you're leveling than you do when you're creating your character.
Yeah.
And whether that's good or bad is up to the person.
Right.
So for some people, that's what they want.
Yeah.
They want to make a character quick and then, hey, every level is another great time. It's a party because you get to pick what you're getting,
Yeah.
But for some people, that's definitely not what they want, and I'm obviously more of the 5e guy.
Right.
As we've talked about, that's my thing, 5e is what I love.
Yeah.
I'm that guy on Twitter that will defend 5e when people are bashing it.
Well, I'm the same way because that's what I run. And and many weeks I'm running 2 campaigns a week.
Right.
And I can enjoy it, and it's enjoyable.
Yes.
And it's fun. And I think that's redundant. Enjoyable.
Right.
It's enjoyable, fun, and exciting. I like turtles.
Makes me happy even.
Makes me happy even, yes. But it is, and I got new players, old players, new players, veteran players.
No, it's okay.
Table.
You can call me old.
And it goes, what would that make me? But they can play together under that system, and there's not any I don't want to say friction.
Right.
But it's still evenly balanced. It's evenly balanced around the table.
Yes.
The new players need to nudge with, hey, that's your, you can use this, that, and it's not super in depth.
That's right.
Now, we can go with the Palladium system. Yeah, you're going to be going down and adding the numbers up for your skills. But that initial character building, it's that's going to take you a session,
right,
until you get good at it. And I think just like anything else, if you do it enough, you're going to get good at it. You're going to know what skills to take for what you need and all that, just like you would in any other system.
Right.
So I'm just saying, for starting out, you just don't whip up a character.
Yeah.
You have to know the system. So I think I want anything else to add on it. Because I know we're going to talk about some more games as we kind of look out there. You'd mentioned was it before the
Lancer?
Yes.
Is one that I'm looking into.
Yes,
I thought it was Indiegogo. I mentioned it last week. It's not. It was Kickstarter, but it's already been kickstarted, so it exists.
Okay.
And it seems pretty cool. I want to dig into that.
Okay, I really haven't got my eyes. I think once we kind of got talking and playing it, and I started looking, all this other stuff's coming back to my mind, going, man, they still have that, and I'm glad to see that there's Palladium players out there.
Oh yeah,
and you can still have access to the books.
Well, and I think it's important for us to look at these other systems too in the context of D&D, even because we talk about how we criticize D&D a lot. We love 5e.
Yeah.
And that's why we're a little harsh with it sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we want it to be maybe not the best. I don't want it to be better than everybody else's systems,
Right.
It's not my dad can beat your dad.
Well,
but I want it to be the best it can be.
Yeah.
And so when I see these other systems doing things I think better,
right,
I look at that and go, hey, I want D&D to be able to be that.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't know that it could be better if I hadn't looked at the other systems.
Absolutely. And it's kind of a one-horse show when it comes to tabletop RPGs. If you're getting into it, you're gonna find out about D&D.
Right.
And there's other systems out there that are just as valid, just as fun.
Oh yeah.
And you get just as much sign out there. So as we go through and complain about D&D and talk about our thoughts about and praise them when they do right over these podcasts, we're trying to find some of these other systems and kind of look at them.
I do think it's important for us to say, if you are a player and you have decided you want to play some of these other systems, please do not go to your DM and say, I'm getting tired of D&D. Let's play Mouse Guard.
Yeah.
Because that's going to make your DM feel like they have wasted their time, that they haven't made the game enjoyable enough for you. Instead, you can say, hey, I think you're doing a great job, but I listened to this podcast where they talked about a different tabletop system.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about your thoughts on, have you heard of it? Have you ever played it? And that opens up the conversation where at some point in there you can go, well, maybe we should try it sometime. Here's
what we did. I was lucky enough to have a group of friends that we played. When it came to D&D, I had Forgotten Realms and I had Dragonlance, right? We had one friend that was he had the Rift stuff. Had Dragonlance. He had Turtles.
Yeah.
He brought Shadowrun along. We kind of by by different people running and playing kind of different things.
Yeah.
Everybody learned. And then look, there's some people that they're just not going to sit in the DM chair or GM chair and not comfortably anyway.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
And that's fine.
That's absolutely fine. I'll never get to play. No, but those that do and the ones that can, they'll kind of fall in and learn the system by playing it.
Yeah.
So if you want to do that, one way maybe going about it is like, hey, you keep sticking with D&D. I want to try to figure this other system out.
Yep.
And I'll try to run it for a few times, and maybe we can start switching off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I'll run D&D sometimes, and maybe I can teach you this.
Right.
That just kind of balance it out because it's a lot of rules.
Oh yeah.
A lot of different systems, and
depending on your system, it might not all be tied in one book either.
That's true.
So there's money to think of there too.
It's always about the money.
If you are a GM or a DM and you want to try these other systems with your players, how do you think they should approach that?
I don't know. I don't know if there's one way I can go through.
Right. It's very dependent on the table.
Because it's very dependent on the table, and I don't want to force them or strong arm them into playing.
I think the open and honest discussion is probably the best way to go about it.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Go, hey, I've been looking into this other system. If you guys ever decide that you want to try something else other than D&D, and we can give that a shot. Guys, in the colloquial sense, obviously,
right?
But
what I think also take a session 0 whether you play the campaign after or not. Maybe somebody didn't show up. Everybody make characters, work on making characters through that, then hold on to them.
Yeah.
Everybody's here. We're gonna play D&D this, and at some point, they're gonna pull the character. The characters out. And like I said, that'd just be once you've kind of opened up the hey, I've got the other game discussion. I think that might be the next way of going about it.
Yeah, because then that puts the idea in their heads too. They got that character. They kind of want to try them out.
Yeah, I think though. I was going to ask if I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is. It's going to be Mouse Guard, but I'm trying to think. I don't know. I'm trying to think which one, because one of the beautiful things about last week's episode, those two games, is you can go steal the Yahtzee dice, right?
Absolutely.
They're all 6-sided dice. That's
all you don't need anything else.
No special weird dice. You just need 6-sided. Palladium, you need the traditional dice you're going to use in D&D.
Yeah.
So if you're playing D&D, you're going to move out over that anyway. I'm trying to think of which one I really want to point someone to try to something different.
Yeah.
And I guess that would really depend on if they wanted to stay with fantasy. I don't know that I'd really take them out of anything, or maybe I'd try Mouse Guard.
Yeah, I think if they want to run something different, honestly, I'm gonna pull out a system we haven't even really talked about. A system that I should clarify, I've never played in.
Okay.
But if you don't want to deal with dice, Fate as a system. Is probably the best one to try. I've never played it myself to speak to quality.
Well,
but
into that.
If dice is a problem, I know you can play it without using dice at all. But to me, you like you said, you already knew.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say try out Mouse Guard, unless you just really hate that idea of tiny mice fighting owls. Because with Mouse Guard, again, Yahtzee, Monopoly.
Yeah.
Your uncle that's a gambler, go take his dice.
Take his dice.
Probably help him out anyway.
Right.
And then you can just play, But I also think that we shouldn't forget, and this is another pull I'm going to pull out of nowhere, cyberpunk as a setting.
Yeah.
You can go straight into that. And I believe it just uses 6s as well.
I think so.
Successes and failures.
I think so.
You got Shadowrun, as we talked about. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Vampire the Masquerade is dice as well, isn't it? Just dice. D6s?
No, it's 10s.
Oh, it's D10s. Okay.
They only use D10s. And that's Vampire, Werewolf, Wraith, Witch, whatever.
So those are some options as well if you just want to try something not full on all the dice.
Yes.
I would go Mouse Guard for sure.
I think so. I think like I said, there's a beauty in simplicity sometimes.
Yes.
And from what we're talking about, and just getting to look at it and a little bit more over this week and everything, kind of want to look through the picture and get the feel of it,
Yeah. And again, unlike a D&D or Palladium, you can get the book the first day.
Yeah.
Read over a little bit. And then honestly, you can sit down with that book and run a session.
I think so. And I think you could I think that might be the best one. The best one I've ever seen if you've only got one person to play with.
Yeah.
I really do. Because it leaves room for the game master to deal with the setting.
Yeah.
To adjust for the individual because like in Mouse Guard, winter's winter's a different time.
That's a problem.
It's a problem.
You should not go out.
Spring you need to be careful going out. Don't get lazy.
Right.
You get picked off by the snakes.
Mm-hmm.
Just you're kind of given so much that both the player and the DM is going to know the world,
yes.
right? And kind of understand the basic. There's nothing fancy about it. Like I said,
right.
Simply and beauty.
And it's so small.
Beauty. Yeah. And the animals. There's snakes, wolves, cats.
The biggest thing's a bear.
Yeah. Biggest thing's a bear. And it
it
rolls out nice. The rolling of it, there was a dice game. It was just a battle game. And it had cards and dice, and I can't remember what it was called. They ended up making, I can't remember what the original was called. They ended up making, like, there was a Star Wars one, and
of course,
all different ones. But the rolling in it reminds me of Mouse Guard a little bit.
Right.
You've got because the numbers really kind of were symbols.
Yeah.
That's what they meant. Well, I can't remember. It's failure, sword, and axe. Golly.
Yeah.
I can't
snake, sword,
anything.
and axe.
Snake, sword, and axe. Thank you. But so you're not actually thinking of the number, even though you're rolling dice. I see that. So you got me thinking of a couple others. GURPS.
Yeah, GURPS is a really fairly easy, straightforward system.
And it's meant to be generic, universal role-playing system.
Yeah. And you can run anything in GURPS.
Yeah, I believe so.
Take those rules and put it to anything you want.
I'll see if I can find. I'll see if I can find that one. I'll pick that one.
I'm gonna go for Lancer.
Okay, I'll see if I can find.
And I've got GURPS. Call Cthulhu. I had somebody tell me once that they ran horror movies, like suspense thriller horror movies, like where the killer's chasing people through GURPS, and they had a great time with it. Each session was a different killer.
Dark noir, dark shadow, dark something. I'm pretty sure there's a Palladium system. That's the old movie monster trope. I think. I may be wrong. I know, like the Call of Cthulhu one in the Palladium system is not called Cthulhu. It's
right.
Depth Spawn something. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And then they have one that was kind of like the vampire werewolf.
Yeah.
One. I don't know why I think of this weird stuff. Those are running through flash memories. I'm going through. Okay. Yeah, I'll try to pick up a copy of GURPS.
Okay.
Looking at through that.
And granted, you can do that with 5e as well. You can run campaigns like that. There's we've mentioned it before on this podcast. There's a full conversion for Final Fantasy 14 in 5e.
Yeah.
That has all the races and classes and everything.
The people who converted it to the Lord of the Rings setting.
Yeah.
Amazing job. Actually, the magic's better than their magic. I like their magic better than I do the official 5e, but
So you have all these options, but if you want to branch out, you can.
Yeah.
And this is not what we're talking about, but I even recommend branching out to board games sometimes. Burnout is a real thing.
Oh yeah.
And you don't want especially after you've done like a really long campaign, you don't want your players to then go, man, that was a long time. Because for anybody, right afterwards is going to go, man, that was a lot of fun, but it was a lot of sessions.
Yeah.
I could have used that time for something else, And then when you go straight into another really long campaign, there's a very good chance that people are going to start not being able to make it to sessions.
Say if you can find a copy of Heroes Quest.
Yeah. You play a couple board games.
Yeah.
Or you take a night to talk, maybe play a one shot in some of these other systems.
Well, I think that's where these other systems I wouldn't have know these other systems if it wasn't for D&D.
Yeah.
It's like the grunge effect for when I was in high school. Nirvana came out, and even though all these other bands are nothing like them,
right?
You know, they don't sound. Smashing Pumpkins sounds nothing like. You know, they get all kind of caught and swept up. And D&D for me, D&D did that because of D&D. I found I got to play Shadowrun and Turtles and Rifts and other ones. Going through that.
DM burnout is also a thing. Just keep that in mind.
It is.
Give your DM breaks.
Especially
after you finish a long campaign.
But sometimes it's not a long campaign.
Yeah.
Sometimes it'd be a long session.
Yeah.
Not major burnout, but what was it? The campaign that nobody ever gets to see, the session before last.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good long run.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happened. Yeah. The next day, I don't want to talk about D&D at all.
I understand. Hey, just don't be afraid to take a break.
Yeah, I think
don't take too long a break because then people won't come back.
Then you have to keep flipping back through the books and remembering the rules.
You can get some really quick, simple board games that honestly the rounds go pretty quick, like a love letter or a coup. Or we do not want to turn this into a board game cast because I can just go.
Yeah,
but
don't do that. I've got a whole shelf behind me. So.
And I made sure not to name any of those when I was naming them. But even Slay the Hero, I think, is the one that I just recently bought. That one's really easy to play too.
Yeah.
Short rounds, get something like that. Everybody can just hang out, relax, and then or run a one shot, one of these.
Yeah.
And then come back the next time and play some more D&D.
Yeah, and like I said, I think that's what we got back. I think one shots, playing D&D, getting tired, and running a one shot in these other systems. They kind of built up. And then we'd end up running campaigns.
Yeah.
In that, which then when you go back to D&D,
right?
Of course, I'm saying this is second edition. When you go back to second edition, it brought a little more freshness to it.
Yeah.
Different way to look at it.
Absolutely.
Well, we wasted the last 2 weeks on the D&D podcast talking about other games. Well, we kind of want to point them out.
Yeah.
And they're just good, wholesome fun.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be.
Until I talk about Call of Cthulhu.
Right. Yeah. Call of Cthulhu. That would be now. That's its own system. Yeah.
Yes.
That's got sanity checks.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll do that.
How long into that podcast do you think we get before I accidentally summon Cthulhu?
No. I will put salt around the floor.
That's fair.
That's fair. That. Oh man. Well, I really don't have much to add. I kind of wanted to just kind of spotlighting this from a nostalgia perspective.
Absolutely.
We've been running D&D for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
In this session. I don't know. I just got excited and nostalgic, and you were all excited about getting Mouse Guard in. And I found the Turtles book for cheap. And look, I did. I got the Turtles book for $60. And you'd be like, wow, that's a lot of money for a 100-page book. But
it normally goes for a whole lot more.
It normally goes for about $5. The other one I could have bought was $555. And that wasn't new either. But you don't have to get the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles book if you want to play as a mutant. Get the After the Bomb book or Roadhogs. You'll find a lot cheaper. Just a little inside tip there. It's the same game.
It just doesn't have the turtles on it.
Yeah, they lost the licensing for it, which I think Eastman and Laird did okay, and like I said, they kept Eastman and Laird doing the artwork through all the other Palladium games they made based off this. So, and that includes Mutants Down Under, Yucatan, Mutants, and I don't know, Orbits in Space. I think Orbits in Space, Mutants in Space, Mutants in Orbit. You want to play Kangaroo?
Mutant Kangaroo.
Let's do that. You get to spend Bio E. You get points as a kangaroo. So
Kangaroo. Can I throw my Joey at them?
I believe so. That'd be kind of harsh. You might have to spend some Bio E points to get full hands.
I'm just saying that
full hands for what about a rock wallaby?
Sure.
Does that sound pretty cool?
I'm just saying that if my Joey can't defend himself,
right,
then he doesn't belong in this world.
Okay. So just kind of right.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Okay.
We're going there.
Really quick. You said, okay, Rock Wallaby. You got total, well, I was saying Australian Rock Wallaby, right? Total BioE is 50 points. So your hands, you automatically have partial hands.
Okay.
You spend 5 BioE, you get full hands.
Okay. Well, I got to have those to throw my Joey.
All right. Your biped, full automatic. Speech, 5 BioE for partial, 10 BioE for full.
I don't need to speak. I just need to be able to throw it.
You just need to be able to kill.
Yeah.
Your looks, you can spend none and you look like a rock wallaby. Or you can spend 5 and you partially look like a rock wallaby. Or you can spend 10 and you look like a human with a large head.
I'll go partial. That's more fun.
Right. So you've kind of got
I'm a mutant.
Right. So you've got wide head with large nose, snout, long ears, thick muscular body with short, powerful limbs, short tail. Natural weapons, none. Powers, 5 BioE for advanced hearing. 10 BioE for non-skid palms.
Non-skid. Oh, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. Carry stuff. Double normal distance for leaps and jumps, plus 3 to dodge while hopping. That's really good. The 10 BioE you get. Yeah, that's the advanced hopping ability.
Yeah, I need that so I can hop and throw him at the same time.
Right. Excellent. Actually. See, and then you can go down to a smaller size level. Your size level 4, you could drop one size level and get 10 more BioE points, or you could go up. You can actually spend some BioE and go up. But you know what? In the same book, there's no magic, but there's psionics.
Yeah.
And as a mutant in the Palladium world, you don't have to spend psi points. You get to just be a psionic and guess it.
Could my Joey be psionic and my job is to be the muscle and his job is to be the brains?
Me master, you blaster. Who run border town?
Well, I mean, you know, I think this is a good idea. And then when he makes me mad, I throw him.
Yeah. Okay. He'll bounce back.
Yeah.
Right there.
All right. I think that's a podcast.
Talked about violent kangaroos throwing their children at enemies.
Throwing their psychic children at
Next
enemies.
week, the emu wars.
Oh, that's a whole thing we could get into. I have studied those extensively. Do you know there could have been a dingo war, but there wasn't because the emus took them out?
Yeah. So, unloading machine guns. Yeah. Amazing. Oh, all right. Do it.
With all that said, I have been Trey.
I have been Rungren.
We have been the Full Spectrum D&D podcast, and remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that emus and Palladium has to offer.